Greene is recognized 5 minutes for questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Crane, for pointing out the most important things that people outside of this city talk about. While you all are paid with a taxpayer-funded paycheck, I want you to know that most Americans are concerned exactly about what Mr. Crane talked about. There's also many Americans, like in my home state of Georgia, that are still grieving the death of a young woman named Laken Riley, who was brutally murdered by an illegal alien that came into this country in Venezuela, who had injured a child in New York, was not deported. In my district, fentanyl is a real problem. It's a serious problem. Fentanyl doesn't discriminate based on politics or identity, sexual orientation, or race. Fentanyl is killing people every single day. And it's also something that's extremely concerning for everyone in my district. This is such an outrage to most Americans, and again, they pay all of our paychecks with their hard-earned tax dollars, that our country is under invasion. It is an invasion. Now, while we believe that people should legally immigrate to America and follow the laws, all of our laws are being completely broken. And the fact that over 10 million people have come in our country and there's 2 million gotaways on your watch, 2 million gotaways that are capable of doing something like Mr. Crane just talked about, a terrorist attack, or the daily crime committed against innocent Americans, whether it's a tragic car accident that kills Americans in the car, whether it is a fentanyl poisoning, a murder that the fentanyl comes from China to Mexico and comes into our country, or whether it's a brutal murder like what happened to Laken Riley. It's happening every single day. The CBP One app, fascinating thing to me. While Congress just banned TikTok, we have this app that our government funds that it's shocking statistics. More than 459,000 individuals have scheduled Southwest border appointments with the CBP One app since January 2023, and 96% of those scheduled appointments with the app were issued a notice to appear and paroled into the country. 96%. The CBP One app is like a welcoming app. Welcome to America. Come on in. You aren't vetting people. We've heard from witnesses before our committee. We heard from one mother whose daughter was horrifically raped and murdered, and the man that raped and murdered her daughter had gang tattoos and cartel tattoos all over him. And he was allowed in the country. And he brutally raped and murdered her daughter, and her daughter's boyfriend still has the voicemail on his phone of her last 2 minutes of life while she was calling him in panic. And that voicemail is her being raped and murdered. This is what our country is dealing with. And it seems to fall on deaf ears when we talk to witnesses like you. It's unbelievable. Ms. Sabatino, according to DHS, applicants for the CHNV program, quote, undergo a clear and robust security vetting, end quote. A clear and robust security vetting. In order to obtain advanced travel authorization through CHNV parole program, an individual provides biometric information, including a photograph, using the CBP One app. Now, on our committee, well, they're all gone, there are Democrats that signed a letter, literally signed a letter, saying that it's unfair, completely unfair that transgender migrants have to provide a photo. That's unfair to them. And they would like to take away the photo requirement on the CBP One app. Are all individuals in the CHNV parole process required to submit biographical information through CBP One?
Biographic, it's the photo.
Can you imagine not having a photo?
The facial biometric matching is a significant security enhancement to the CBP One app.
Are you keeping criminals out of our country with the CBP One app?
The CBP One app really is just the tool to move the information, but we are taking the biographic and biometric information and matching it against watch lists, our law enforcement's databases, travel data, criminal records, as well as our derogatory photo index.
So do you sleep good at night? Like, do you know for a fact that you're keeping these criminals out of our country with the CBP One app? You're confident that you're keeping out rapists, murderers, cartel members? You're terrorists? You're confident that you're keeping them out of our country?
Congresswoman, as a 26-year career employee, I'm very well aware of the challenges that we are up against, and I sleep well knowing that our CBP officers and frontline personnel are doing their best to protect the American communities.
So CBP One app processes the information and expedites people from over 160 countries around the world into our country, and you sleep good at night and you're confident in the CBP One app.
The CBP One app doesn't expedite individuals. It actually affords advanced information to our officers to do that robust vetting and screening, and the facial, obtaining the photos to do the facial biometric match to our D-ROC.
So you don't think already having the information in an app with the photo, when the migrants can come and pick a slate and time to come Border Patrol, that does expedite the process? You're saying that's not an expedition of the process?
I think I can highlight a number of instances over the last 10 years where migrants showing up at our ports of entry without any advance information quickly overwhelm our teams and then redirect our teams from doing things like interdicting fentanyl or outbound operations, seizing weapons and currency that funds the cartels. We have a lot of different disciplines and responsibilities at the ports of entry. Without that streamlined modern process, we would be solely focused on processing individuals who are required to afford the opportunity to request asylum at our ports of entry.
Sure, so maybe thousands of people showing up at one time at a port of entry or it would be considered an invasion. That's what most Americans are calling it. And most Americans are against the fact that their taxpayer dollars are having to pay for a handy-dandy app that people can download and enter the information so they can be expedited into America. It's outrageous. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to go ahead and yield.